sit in any position that works for you. Oh. So we'll start off this evening seated. You can sit cross-legged, kneeling, legs outstretched, whatever works for you, whatever feels like a good position. Hands can rest wherever they feel comfortable. You might just have a bit of a wiggle or a stretch to get into it if you need to. If this is your first time sitting on the floor today, or if it feels like this is your first time sitting down today, then maybe just give yourself a minute to kind of get comfortable and to settle into it. And then from here, we'll just, as always, just start to kind of quiet ourselves down. But I've done a few online classes myself, and I've taught quite a few now, and I noticed that it's not so easy to kind of come into that quiet space when you're not in a room surrounded by other people who are doing the same thing. So if you're finding it hard to actually put your phone off to one side or to resist distraction and stuff, that is totally normal. It's fine. Don't give yourself a hard time for that. Just do your best. Do what is available to you without causing any real stress. So hands maybe rest on your knees or in your lap. And we'll start to think about closing down the face. So you're welcome to bring your gaze to look down towards the floor. Maybe you'll close the eyes. You're welcome to keep the eyes open if that suits you better, but just the sort of most important thing is that you're looking for that softness at your face. You're allowing your kind of, what I sometimes call your kind of daytime mask, your like people face, to slide away. This next sort of hour and 10 minutes is just for you. It is for you to move your body in a way that feels good. So we'll draw our attention into that body to start with. Thinking about physical sensation first. It's the place we come to first because it's the most tangible. It's the easiest to kind of name those sensations, those parts of the body where you're feeling sensations. It's much easier to pinpoint the specifics of the physical body. But because it's easy to come to those specifics, it's also sometimes hard to let go of them, particularly sensations such as discomfort, restlessness, irritation, pain. So if those have popped up into the front of your mind, you might acknowledge them here. Know that they're just as valid as any other sensations you might come across. And that you're going to practice with them in mind. But then let your attention move on. Looking for other sensations in the body. And then you might be able to turn your attention to things that are less easy to name, less easy to grab a hold of. Perhaps you could begin to build up an idea of how your mood is. How your energy level is. What version of yourself you've brought onto the mat this evening. And eventually, let your attention come to rest on the breath. Come to watch the breath at its most easy, natural rhythm. Watch its gentle rise and reliable fall. We're going to take a couple more breaths here in quiet. And then when you feel ready, we're going to start with a movement that matches to the breath. I'll do my best to describe it. You don't even have to open your eyes if it doesn't feel right to do so. Palms of the hands are going to come to face upwards, towards the face. And as you breathe in, the hands will rise, gathering that breath in and up towards the center of the chest. And as you exhale, the palms of the hands will turn to face down and you'll push that exhale away. So I'll stick with that for now, allowing your inhale to rise, to gather up. Then your exhale to fall. Stick with it at your own pace. Don't feel like you have to match me. Your movements might be bigger or smaller, matching with the rhythm of your own breath. We'll go one more like that. Exhale, turning the palms. And then from here, we'll start to add on. So as you inhale, draw the hands up to the center of the chest. And as you exhale, push out towards the sides of the space. You're practicing in as if you were expanding out into a kind of bubble that you're making bigger around you. On your inhale, the palms will turn to face upwards and you'll gather that air, drawing up and overhead. As you exhale, the hands are going to come down through your heart center. Maybe they're hands in namaskar, hands in prayer, or maybe the palms of the hands are facing up as you bring them down. We'll keep that going. Inhale to draw up. Exhale to press out. Feel that you're expanding. Inhale to sweep and reach up overhead. Exhale to draw hands down. Nice, a couple more exactly like that. Stick with the rhythm of your breath. This expansion is my favorite bit. So make the most of whichever feels like your favorite bit. Inhale, draws the arms up. Exhale, floats the hands down. Last one. Maybe it's eyes closed, feeling your way into it for this last one. Press out. Inhale to gather up. Exhale to draw down. Nice. From here, we're going to think a little bit about the hands, movement through the hands and the wrists. So we're going to start with just a really basic wrist stretch. You're going to press the right hand out in front of you. Right fingertips are pointed down towards the floor, but it doesn't have to be right angle at the wrist. You can see that mine's quite softly relaxed there. And I'm just going to slide my left hand down the front of my left arm, over the palm, and down to the fingers. So creating just a little switched on stretch in the palm of the hand and the front of the wrist. I'm going to show you this from the side so that you can see my elbows bent. So it's left hand slides along forearm, down the palm, over the fingers, and draws the right fingertips down, keeping the right shoulder as soft away from the ear as you can. You might hold it there, or you might repeat that action a couple of times. It might feel nice to pause, or you might have really enjoyed the sensation of the contact sliding one hand across the other. And then we'll let the right hand go. We'll release the right hand and we'll press the left hand out in front, left hand pressing out into the space in front of you. Keep the elbows soft, shoulders soft. The right hand slides along the forearm, down the palm, and encourages the fingers to just gently point a little bit more down towards the floor. Again, you could choose to repeat the action if you liked that sensation of pressing through the palm and into the fingers, or you could choose to just hold here, to pause here. This is not a particularly wrist-heavy practice. We're actually more interested in the contact that we're making here. I'll show you where we're going. So when you're ready, you'll release that left hand, release left hand back up. So we're going to come into a little bit of kind of contact. I've totally stolen this from another teacher. Shameless, I'll have to tell her that I've done it. I've stolen this from another teacher and I loved it this week. So it's just a way of kind of making contact with the arms, but it's also a really lovely way to get a stretch in the neck. So when you're ready, finding your comfortable seat, adjust if you need to. The arms are going to draw up and overhead. And the arms are going to stay overhead for a little while. So you might think here about really softening shoulders with your exhale. So let the arms go as wide as they need to. Your left hand is going to come across and find the back of your right hand. Left hand to the back of your right hand. Doesn't matter if you have to bend your elbows. And then from there, as you're breathing, nice normal steady breath, you're going to sweep the left hand down the back of the right arm. It goes all the way down the back of the right arm to the back of the right shoulder, and then up the side of the neck as you lean the head away. And then it goes back, front of the neck, front of the shoulder, grazing the armpit up the front side of the arm, and finds the right palm. So hopefully that made sense. If it isn't, we're doing it again. Back of the right hand, left hand on the back of the right, slides down the back of the right arm. Take your time with it. Go at your own pace. Find the back of the shoulder. Maybe you're reaching the right arm away as you let left ear drop to left shoulder and stroke up the side of the neck. And then you're going back across the front of the shoulder, past the bicep, hollow of the elbow, up the forearm until the palms come to touch, and we'll change it over. We'll inhale both arms up overhead. Exhale, soften the shoulders. Let the arms go as wide as they need to, and your right hand is coming across this time. Right hand on the back of the left. And you'll slide, when you're ready, nice, normal, steady breath, you'll slide the right hand down the back of the left arm. So back of the elbow, back of the upper arm, shoulder, across the back of the shoulder, and up the side of the neck as the right ear drops over to the right shoulder. And then as you send it back the other way, you find the front of the neck, front of the shoulder, past the bicep, hollow of the elbow, forearm, palms of the hands coming together at the top there. And you'll take it back one last time down the back of the left hand, back of the left arm. See if you can notice the hand feels warm. There might be again a bit of this that is your favourite moment. Mine is that reach away as you come into that stroke up the side of the neck. And then when you're ready, you're sending it back up the front of the shoulder, front of the arm, past the elbow, forearm, hands coming together. We'll reach up one last time, big inhale. We'll exhale and circle the wrists down, because why not? It's a nice way to bring the hands down. When you get to chest height, you might take the hands in the opposite direction. That might feel like a good way to kind of mix things up there. And then when you're ready, we're coming over onto all fours. So you can swing the legs out and around behind you, or you can roll over the knees, which I didn't show you. And when we come onto all fours, if you come flat onto your palms of your hands, that is fine, and you need to set up there, that is fine. Adjust as much as you need to get yourself set up. And then once you've found yourself steady, actually we'll do it both ways. So we'll start hands, palms flat on the floor, fingers spread wide, moving into our cat-cow. On your inhale breath, you'll drop the belly low and lift the tailbone. Think about broadening across the collarbone. And as you exhale, you'll reverse in the other direction, drawing the belly in. Draw the belly in, look back toward the knees. Space between the shoulder blades. And you can keep that going. We're going to go probably for 2 more breaths. Not that long, because we're changing it for a different variation. And remember, when you're making your way into these cat-cows, they do not always have to be the biggest versions of the movement for you. So if you're just now starting to find your way into movement in your body, if you've been still all day, you make this a small movement if you need to. You make it a segmented movement. Maybe you think upper back only. We'll draw ourselves to a neutral spine. And I just want you to switch the position of the hands. So you're going to come up onto a loose fist. So by a loose fist, I mean you're resting on the flat of the knuckles nearest the back of your hand, and the thumb is on the outside. So imagine if you were to impersonate a gorilla. If you were doing my children's yoga class, we would probably do that. If you have elbows that tend to pop in towards each other, very bendy elbows, you might keep a little slight bend in the elbows to find a bit of strength. And we'll just move into our cat-cow from here. Inhaling to drop the belly low, to lift the gaze, to broaden the collarbone. Exhale to pull the belly in, to look back towards the knees. Notice differences. Inhale, you'll reverse, dropping the belly low. If you really do not like this and need to go back to the flats of your hands, that is fine. If you are sticking with this variation up on your knuckles, you might notice that it is different. I would say the majority of people who report back on this variation find that there is more space in the middle and upper back when you're up on your knuckles. You can let me know at the end how this felt for you. Look back towards the knees. We'll go one more round through your cat-cow. And then you'll pull the belly in, draw in, reverse. And make your way gently back to a neutral spine. Bringing yourself back to a neutral spine, you might bring yourself back onto the flats of the hands. For this next bit, we're going to walk the hands out in front, maybe a couple of steps out in front with the hands, and then over towards the right. or whichever side you're going to first. Most of us will get to a point of resistance where it just sort of makes sense to pause. I mean, if we wanted to, we probably could go all the way around, but there will be a point, sort of about 45 degrees, that just makes sense for us to pause there. Take an inhale there. And as you exhale, fire up the hands and push back, bringing yourself into a side stretch along the left hand side of the body. If you now need to adjust the hands to look for that side stretch, that is fine. If you need to make adjustments, absolutely go for it. The forehead could come to rest on the floor, but it doesn't have to. The hips might still be quite high. You might be active through hands reaching the fingertips out in front. We're going to pause here for another breath. If you need movement, you are welcome to move. And then when you're ready, you're going to come back up on the hands, draw the body weight forward, pull the belly in. So you're working with a nice flat back, and then you'll walk your way back through to center. Maybe you want to pause in center. Maybe you need to make some wiggles or adjustments there. And then when you're ready, both hands are going over in the other direction, which for me is the left. For you might be a different direction. Take an inhale there. And as you exhale, press back. Find that long, this is something that the cat does. Something the cat does a lot. So find that kind of long animal stretch, that real kind of reach through the hands, length all the way down the right hand side of the body. Maybe the forehead rests on the floor, maybe the head is lifted, maybe you're up a little bit higher than I am. Maybe you need to move. Then when you're ready, use your next inhale to draw the belly in, to pull yourself forwards, and walk the hands back in under the shoulders. And then keep them coming in towards the body. We're bringing ourselves to kneeling. If kneeling is very uncomfortable for you, inaccessible, doesn't work, you are more than welcome to sit cross-legged or any other way if that suits you better. And once we've found ourselves kneeling or in the position that works, inhale the arms up and overhead. You'll interlace all 10 fingers at the top, and as you exhale, slide the hands onto the back of the head. I think maybe we did this last time, I'm not sure, but if you remember it, brilliant. So on our inhale, we're going to use the thumbs down the side of the neck, the index fingers cradling that occipital ridge, the base of the skull, to support the head completely. So as you inhale, the elbows spread out wide, and you're able to let the head fall back into the hands. And as you exhale, elbows are going to reach up, over and in, pulling towards the belly button, rounding the spine. See if you can pull from the elbows rather than use the hands to pull on the neck. Inhale to draw open. The elbows reach for the wall behind you. So they're stretching right back. The head can rest in the hand. Exhale, the elbows go up, over, round and down, drawing in. We'll do two more. I'll show you it from the side. On your inhale, you're lifting and spreading out through the elbows, not worrying so much about looking for a deep back bend, but instead thinking about that drop of the head, soften the neck. Exhale, the elbows go up, over and round as if they were diving in towards your kneecaps. Again, no weight on the back of the head, you're not pulling there. Inhale, you'll lift. Last time, expand out. Exhale to round everything in. Pull everything in towards the belly button. Tuck the tailbone. Inhale to draw yourself back up to neutral, back to where you started. And then from here, I'm actually going to show you this from the back, which seems rude, but hopefully you guys can still hear me. You're going to inhale, push the palms up towards the ceiling. And as you exhale, sweep the arms out wide. They're coming back behind you, and you'll interlace all 10 fingers back behind the body. If interlacing the hands like this doesn't work for you, maybe catching hold of a wrist does, or maybe you can just hook the index fingers. That is a fine place to be. You can press palms, or you can keep the wrists square. As you inhale, you're pushing down and away, as if you're trying to knit your shoulder blades together on the back body, reaching that fist back behind you, lifting the chest. From there, you're going to bend through the elbows, keep your breath nice and steady, as you draw that fist over towards your right hip, the top of your right bum, cheek, the right hip point, or maybe the fist is coming up to tuck into the side of the waist. And once you've found that connection with the fist in the right place, you're going to draw, let me get this right, yeah, you're going to draw the right ear across to the right shoulder. Right ear across to right shoulder, looking for that stretch down the side of the neck. Again, your choice about whether the chin tilts down or lifts up, or maybe it's moving around. Take a last breath here. And then on your next inhale, you're going to reach that fist back behind you again. You're going to reset in the center, lifting the gaze, lifting the chest. And as you exhale, that fist is coming over towards your left bum cheek, hip. Bend your elbows. Try and drag it across there with straight arms. It's probably not going to go. Bend your elbows. Maybe the fist that you've made is snuggling in alongside your left side waist. And once you're there, the left ear drops over towards the left shoulder. Space down the right hand side of the neck. Moving as much as you want to. Here for a breath. And then on your next inhale, whenever it happens for you, you'll reach that fist back behind you. Last time, inhale to lift the chest. Exhale to let it go. You can release the fingertips gently, and maybe you want here a bit of a wiggle of the shoulders, a bit of a roll of the upper back body, just kind of giving everything a bit of a stretch. We're going to take the shoulders in the other direction, so just for a couple of breaths. So we're sticking with this cat-cow sort of shape in the body, in case you haven't guessed, for the practice today. Inhale when you're ready, the arms up and overhead. And as you exhale, the right hand, the right arm is going to swing underneath the left. You're going to look to hook the elbows. If hooking the elbows is a real challenge, you can be a little way off, that is fine. From there, you have options. You can grab hold of opposite shoulder. You could catch hold of opposite thumb, or maybe you can wind up the wrists and bring the palms of the hands together. So the palms of the hands are coming into prayer. The arms are sort of wound up. On your inhale, you're going to pull up through the fingertips, lift the elbows, lift the gaze, lift the chest. And on your exhale, no surprises to guess that you're going to pull the belly in and round in. Elbows draw towards the belly button. We'll go 2 more breaths. Inhale to lift. We're sort of rehearsing this. We're going to come back to this shape throughout our practice. So worth just seeing how it feels in your body now and noticing if there are modifications that you can make to your arms, to the position of your shoulders that will make this feel better or more interesting. We'll go one last time. Inhale to lift. Exhale to draw in. This time on your inhale, unwind the arms. Inhale the arms up and overhead. Exactly the same on the opposite side. Left arm swings underneath the right arm. Notice if it is different to the other side. Chances are it probably is. We're not symmetrical animals. So if you go for the kind of wind up and you think, actually, that doesn't suit me, you've got options. You can grab hold of shoulders, catch hold maybe of opposite thumbs, there's a bit of a gap between the hands, or maybe you're winding up at the wrists and bringing the palms of the hands together. Wherever you are, next 3 breaths are sort of yours to move as you want. You're inhaling to lift, but you might find a bit of wiggle, a bit of movement there. And as you exhale, you'll tuck and around, pull the elbows towards the belly button. If you're kneeling and it's not working for you, you've always got the option of lifting, don't forget. Exhale to round, pull the belly in. Go 1 more breath at your own pace. Exhale to draw in, pull the belly button to the spine. And then from there on your inhale, you're going to unwind through the arms, you're going to lift arms up and overhead. Exhale, the hands are coming down, they're coming out in front because you're going to walk the hands out and bring yourself back to your all fours position. Back into your all fours, so we can transition into our first downward facing dog. In case you've not guessed, we're thinking shoulders and arms and stiff working from home necks and hands and things like that. So as we come into this first downward facing dog, see if you can think about downward facing dog as a position which is a shoulder opener. Hopefully that will make some sense when we get there based on what we've done. Tuck the toes underneath you, push the hips back to find the heels. So right from the very start, you're finding that activation through the hands and the shoulders as if you're sort of squaring up to the mat. Big inhale here, and as you exhale, you can allow the hips to rise high, lengthening through the backs of the legs. Maybe you go straight into a bit of movement, or maybe you pause and notice the sensations in the chest, the upper back and the shoulders, the armpits, and the tricep muscles here. If you're moving, or if you're not moving, you're welcome to begin to move. If you're moving, you don't forget you've got that option of pedaling out through the legs. You can take a couple of deep knee bends if that feels good for you. Maybe you're going to sway the hips left and right, have a bit of a wiggle in any way that suits. Maybe it's a shake of the head, maybe you're going to nod the head. Very few people go in for that nod the head, but it is kind of a nice thing to do. You can test it out. Don't forget, the sensations that you're after are the chest melting towards the upper thighs, The tailbone lifting as if you wanted to put it into the place where the wall meets the ceiling at the back of the room. You can keep the knees bent and the heels do not have to touch down on the floor. Take a last breath here, nice and still. And then when you're ready, you're going to inhale and come high on your tiptoes. So you can slide it forwards out to plank. So it doesn't have to be your most graceful, perfect rollout ever, but you do want to find yourself in plank. When you get to plank, if you need to drop your knees for a second, please do. Be my guest. Absolutely drop your knees at any point when you need to. We're looking for a little bit of fire here in case you've not already figured that out. So if you've got a little shake going on, that is a good thing. Take an inhale here. And as you exhale, draw your elbows back alongside your ribcage. See if you can dip halfway. Inhale to rise, push. We're going 2 more of those. At the top, exhale, pull the belly in. Elbows along the ribcage as you dip halfway. Inhale, press, pull the belly in. Last one. Exhale, elbows hug in, pull the belly in, dip halfway. Inhale to rise, nice. From there, push it back. Downward facing dog should hopefully feel like a relief, but if it doesn't, drop your knees. Drop your knees whenever you need to. Very nice. From here, we'll inhale, look forward, roll it out to plank. Don't worry, none of those. None of those this time. That was those for your whole class, actually. You're never doing that again. Big inhale here at the top. Exhale, release the knees. From here, we're going to send the hips back to find the heels. Lengthen the... So I'm always reluctant to say child's pose right from the start. That is sort of the silhouette of where you're going. But actually, if there's other delicious stuff on the way there, enjoy that stuff. So for me, there's always a moment where I'm kind of reaching forwards, hips stretching back that just feels lovely, and it's not quite child's pose, but it's not quite all fours. Or maybe you really love that moment of letting the shoulders completely go, the forehead finds the floor. Whatever works for you. And then from that position, when you feel ready, we'll try a different way of coming up to stand, because why not? You're going to tuck the toes underneath and slide the hands in towards the knees as if you were dragging them heavy weights along the mat. They're going to start to support the body. Walk the hands around back beside the body, toes are tucked underneath. You're going to press your way up into a little toes pose, a little squat at the back of the space you're practicing in probably. From there, in your own time, when you feel ready, you're going to allow the heels to come down to the floor. Heels to come down to the floor. And I want you to imagine those children's entertainers that work with the giant bubbles. I love an obscure reference. I don't know if anybody will have ever come across this or know what the heck I'm talking about, but sometimes children's entertainers who work with giant bubbles create bubbles around themselves. I want you to imagine that. I want you to imagine that you are going to grab a hold here just by your feet of a big bubble hoop, and you're going to pull it all the way up the body. So go as slowly as you like, really pull up from the ground, find shoulders switched on, draw that bubble all the way up and around the body, maybe squeeze the glutes as you go, and then it comes up and over your head, you'll release out through the hands, press up, let the hands come down, nice. We're doing that again, hopefully, if I do it again, I'll make it mean a bit more. Big inhale, arms come up and overhead. Exhale to fold your way down any way you like. Soften the knees if you need to. Bringing yourself right the way back down to where you started. Okay, this time the bubble is made of golden syrup. So it's really sticky. It's really slow moving and treacly. And you're going to have to give it a bit of a wiggle. Grab a hold at the bottom. Grabbing hold, you've got 2 fists, and you're going to begin to wiggle your way into that bubble, drawing up. Maybe you're taking it over to one side and then over to the other side. It's very hard to talk and actually enjoy this at the same time. You're drawing up the sides of the body. You're bringing it up and over your face, and then at the top, you'll empty out through the hands, let it go, bring the hands down. I hope that made sense. If it doesn't, let me know at the end and I'll work on my cueing. That should feel really kind of a nice way to come up to stand. So now that we found ourselves standing, we'll just move a little bit and then we'll start to work our way into a flow. So feet as wide as you like them. Maybe they're hip width distance, maybe they're a little wider, nice and solidly planted down. When you're ready, it's a big inhale to draw the arms up and overhead. To reach and sweep fingertips up towards the ceiling, you're going to interlace the fingers at the top. So as you inhale here, we're going to look up, lift up, squeeze the glutes, push the hips forward. And as you exhale, you're going to press the palms of the hands out in front of you as you bend the knees, pull the belly in and round the back. Suspect we did this last week. I'm sticking with it for now. Inhale, you'll squeeze the glutes and rise, lift. Exhale, pull the belly in, bend through the knees and round your way in. One more like that in our linear kind of shape, sticking with your own breath, your own range of movement that feels comfortable, that feels good. And then from here, we'll inhale to draw our way up to the top. And then from there, my favorite words, you can move however feels good for you. So maybe you'll take that movement off to the side. Maybe you're moving a little quicker. Maybe you're moving even slower. You can head in any direction that feels good. The hands don't have to stay linked in that position. You can move any way you like from standing, just working with that idea that you are rounding and curling and then unfurling and opening in the front of the chest. So finding that tuck of the chin maybe on your way down, rolling up through the spine. Take it at your own pace. You do not have to move as quickly as I do. Maybe you do not have to move as slowly. If you'd rather go a little quicker, we'll stick with this for one more breath. This is the point at where you sort of wish you'd sent the person that's practicing in the room with you off to a different room so you can just get as weird as you like with nobody watching. Mind you, I've got all you guys watching and it's still pretty weird. So when you're ready, drawing yourself back through to center, no hurry to get there. And as you exhale, let the hands come down in the way that suits you. Maybe it's through heart center. Maybe it's a big stretch out wide. Maybe you're going to roll the wrists all the way down. Find yourself steady and just pause. So just one breath in stillness. Notice how it feels. And then from here, we'll start to make our way through a flow that we'll build as we kind of work gradually here. So when you're ready, it's a big inhale, draw the arms up and overhead. Exhale, you'll fold your way down, long over the legs, bend the knees as much as you need to get down there. We are still sort of new to that forward folding shape. On your inhale, we're going back to something that I love from weeks ago. On your inhale, you're going to push palms of the hands out in front, fire up through the shoulders, bring the body into a right angle. Exhale to let the body fold long over the legs, let all of that go. Fingertips will find the floor. They'll support you as you send your right leg back behind you. Your right leg is going to touch down, toes on the mat, and then from there, in your own time, release the right knee down. When the right knee touches down, you can inhale the arms up and overhead. And as you exhale, you're going to sweep your right arm under your left arm. Find your way into that eagle arms variation that suits you. Shoulders, thumbs, palms of the hands, whatever suits here. So this time, slightly different as we work our way through that cat-cow. It might feel wobbly, take it at your own pace. Inhale, you'll lift. Let the hips nudge forwards in space as the elbows rise. Exhale, you'll round, pull the belly in. This is usually the wobblier part of the movement. So really find that action in the belly. Inhale, you'll lift, press forwards through the hips if there is room to do so. Elbows draw up. Exhale to round. Again, your movements do not have to be as big as mine. I'm trying to make this big so you guys can see it nice and clearly. So if you're working in a smaller range, you stick with whatever feels good. This is your last one. Exhale to draw in. Nice. From here, inhale to open up, arms come up and overhead. Exhale, fingertips are going to rain down, find the floor. Fingertips to the mat, you'll plant the palms, tuck the back toes, pop the back knee off the floor, send the left foot to the right and go to downward facing dog first of all. So you're getting that, so eagle arms, shoulders coming in, shoulders closing off. Downward facing dog, shoulders opening, armpits opening, chest open. You might adjust your hands and your feet if you need to. On your next inhale, you're going to rise high on the tiptoes, pull the belly in and roll it out to plank. Doesn't have to be your most beautiful rollout. Get there how you need to. Pull the belly in, take an inhale at the top. Exhale to release the knees. Inhaling again here. Exhale to lower the body in one piece down to the floor. And then from there, I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see my hands, we're going to reach the hands out long in front. Little baby finger blade side of the hand presses down into the floor. Bring the hands in prayer in front of you. Elbows push down. You're going to, this is so hard for me to demonstrate. I don't know if we did this before, so I'm going to have to show you again. So if I do it without my hand there, you can see what's happening in my head. As you inhale, you're going to lift and lengthen through the crown of the head as if somebody was drawing a piece of string, crown of the head towards the front of the room. As you exhale, you're going to lower the forehead down a little further away than it was before. And from that place, bending the elbows, you'll bring that sharp fin you've made with the hands up behind the back of the head. So lengthen the backs of the arm in the armpits, pausing here for a breath. And then you'll inhale to reach fingertips out in front. On the fingertips, you'll slide the hands in and out until, ooh, a little bit of a crash there, until the fingertips are on the floor, the elbows are pointing high. So familiar shape for some of us. Fingertips pressed down into the mat, space between the shoulder blades as best you can. And on your inhale, you're going to push down through the hip bones, push down through the tops of the feet, and snake the upper body away from the mat, lifting the gaze at the last moment. As you exhale, you'll reverse it exactly the way you came up. You lower the body down, and then you lengthen the forehead out and away in front. If you're finding this kicks into your lower back, spread your feet apart a little bit wider. We're going to go 2 more breaths. Inhale to rise. Don't forget, you don't have to move as much as I am, especially in these first few. Exhale to lower. Last one, refining it if you need to. Use this as an opportunity to work out how this feels good in your body. Exhale to lower. If it doesn't feel good in your body, don't forget you've always got Cobra. Hands come underneath the shoulders. Plant the palms, tuck the toes underneath you, and sending the hips back to the heels. You'll make your way through to your downward facing dog. Hips are high. Bend in the back of the knees if you need it. You can move here as much as you want to. Maybe you're pedaling through the legs, bumping the hips left and right, whatever works for you. Find your way into your comfortable downward facing dog. And when you feel ready, it's an inhale to look forwards between the hands and an exhale to walk or step or hop or jump the hands up to the feet, up towards the hands. Find yourself in your forward fold. Long over the legs. On your inhale, you'll pull the belly in and sweep to stand, pushing the floor away. Inhale to rise, arms come up and overhead. Exhale to draw down, elbows wide. Pull the elbows down, cactus arms. Inhale, hands, palms face up as you sweep forwards, up and through, lift. We'll do 1 more of those. Exhale, elbows come wide. Nice. Inhale to lift. Exhale, let the hands come down however works for you. Maybe through heart center, maybe the hands sweep out wide by your sides. Cool, really nice. Find yourself steady here. And then when you feel ready, we're going through that on the other side. So similar actions, maybe a little more familiar now. When you feel ready, set yourself up, steady somewhere near the top of the space that you are practicing in. Inhale the arms up and overhead. Exhale to fold, long over the legs. Draw the belly in to make space for the body to come down. Nice. So on your inhale, you're going to push palms of the hands out in front. Fire up the shoulders. Feel that stretch up through the fingertips. Exhale, hands slide down to find the floor. So fingertips on the floor to stabilize you as you send the left leg back behind you. In your own time, releasing the left knee down to the floor, making those adjustments that you feel like you might need to stabilize the body here. So find yourself steady, and when you're ready, it's an inhale, arms come up and overhead. And as you exhale, sweep the left arm underneath the right arm here. Left arm underneath right, you're looking for that good cross of the elbows. That's where the stretch really comes from. So if you're at the shoulders, that is fine. Thumbs, palms of the hands, whatever works for you here as a way of kind of maintaining that bind. Inhale, you'll lift the chest, let the hips nudge slightly forwards and lengthen through the belly. Exhale, you'll draw the belly in. That is where your power comes from to stop this feeling so wobbly. Elbows come towards the belly button. 2 more exactly like that, moving at your own pace, finding your rhythm with it. Exhale, you'll round. Pull the belly in. We'll go 1 last time. Again, allowing the hips to drop forwards as much as makes sense for them. Find you a stretch in the front of the left hip flexor, left thigh. Exhale as you pull in, find a little bit of power there to keep control over it. This time, as you inhale, the arms are coming up and overhead, sweeping you back to where you started. Exhale, the fingertips are coming down to find the floor. Fingertips will find the floor, nice and steady. Plant the palms. Tuck the back toes underneath. Back knee pops off the floor, and you are stepping to downward facing dog. So the hips go high, and immediately you're dropping into that sensation of an open chest, open shoulders, shoulder blades going in the other direction. If you're somebody who has a tendency to have very, very bendy elbows that point inwards towards each other a little bit more than maybe you want them to, that sensation of slightly bending the elbows and pressing the floor away is going to get you the power that you're after to feel that space in the shoulders, rather than it just be easy to crunch the shoulders together. You may be moving, or you may be steadying out through the breath. When you feel ready, you can inhale to come high on the tiptoes, pull the belly in and roll your way out to plank. Take your time with it. Once you've got yourself in plank, you'll inhale. Exhaling, you'll release the knees. Inhaling again. Exhale, you'll release the body down to the floor. Lay the body down, and straight away you're looking for that extension through the arms. As you extend through the fingertips, reach the fingertips out for the front, you're going to extend and lengthen through the neck. Back of the neck long as the forehead finds the floor, and then bending up the elbows. Slide that shark fin up and onto the back of the head. Finding length through the backs of the arms. We're pausing here just for a breath. And then you'll stretch out through the fingertips. On the fingertips, you'll draw the hands in. Make that, there's something really enjoyable about making that really creepy if you can. So on the fingertips, the elbows point up towards the ceiling. You've got that nice straight arm. You've got that nice straight line through the forearm. That's where the power in this comes from. Finger pads pressing down into the floor. The feet can spread a little wider if they need to. You're pushing down through the hip points and the feet. As you inhale, keeping the chin tucked, you lengthen and rise. Your gaze lifts last. Exhale, you reverse the opposite way. Your gaze lowers last, lengthening the forehead down onto the floor. Inhale, you'll rise, lengthen, lift up. Exhale, you'll lower. We're going for one more. Maybe you can get a little snakier with it. Exhale to release it down. Hands slide underneath the shoulders. Tuck the toes. Look for that sweet spot on your way to maybe your downward facing dog. Maybe you need to pause for a breath in child's pose, which you'd be welcome to do. We're meeting here in downward facing dog for a couple of breaths, or maybe you're catching your breath just for a moment in child's pose if you need it. Find that wiggle, have a stretch. And then when you're ready, is an inhale to draw your gaze forwards and then to walk your feet up in the direction that you're looking, rolling the body over into your forward fold. Let the body hang out long over the legs. Maybe you need a bit of movement, a bit of a shimmy or a wiggle. From there, you're soft in the knees. As you push the floor away through the feet, you'll rise to stand. Exhale, you'll draw down through the elbows, chest open. Power in the wing muscles underneath the armpits. Your inhale slides your hands out, round and up in front. Exhale, you'll draw down. Elbows hugging down the back. Last one going up. Inhale to come up. Exhale to let the hands draw down, however it feels good too. Bring the hands down. Pause there. Maybe just check in and notice the breath. Just checking the time. Notice how the breath feels in the body. Cool. Working through one more round. Similar, slightly different. Adding something on, taking some stuff away. There'll be some space here for you to move as you want to move. So if you're not keen on parts of what we've been doing, but you love other bits, or you think, oh, I really like X, Y, Z here, this is your round to kind of get stuck into all of that stuff that your body is kind of asking for. So we'll make ourselves make our way back to the space that we're beginning from, the top of the space you're practicing.
You're setting your feet. Maybe they're hip width distance, maybe they're just a bit wider. And when you feel ready, it's that inhale, sweeping the arms up and overhead. And the exhale to rain the body down long over the legs. Inhale, you'll find power. Press into the feet, feel the quadriceps engage as you push. Hands out in front, body comes up to a right angle. Exhale, you'll fold. Let the body come down over the legs, long over the legs. Nice. From there, from that forward fold, you're going to step. This is where it gets a bit complicated. Whichever leg you like back, whichever leg makes most sense for you to be able to see the camera, if you now turn to face the direction you just stepped in. So you're bringing yourself into a wide-legged forward fold, is what I should say first. But it just doesn't matter which leg you step back with. So we're going to find a little bit of movement here in two different shapes. So we'll come up to stand first of all. Power down through the feet, bend the knees. Bring the hands to the hips, take an inhale. And as you exhale, push the floor away, you'll rise to stand. Bringing yourself gently up to the top. Lovely. Maybe just check in on your feet. So we're folding forwards. So the way the feet want to either point straight ahead, or they might just be slightly turned in towards one another. Pigeon-toeing the feet slightly gives you that better grip on the outside little toe edge of the foot. Find your inhale, lift the arms up and overhead. And as you exhale, you're going to draw the arms back down behind the body, interlacing all 10 fingers back there. Maybe you're catching the thumbs, grabbing the wrists, whatever works for you. On your next breath in, that fist is reaching out and away from you as you roll the shoulders back, chest open, maybe the gaze lifts slightly, a slight lift of the chin. Exhale, pull the belly in, hinge at the hips as you bring the body down. And as you bring the body down, you can feel your way into this. You might think, okay, bent knees, that fist resting on the lower back works for me. You might have more space to come up to straight legs and maybe letting that fist roll up and overhead as if you were trying to turn the body inside out, as if you were trying to kind of stretch the shoulder blades away from the body. And then once you've found yourself here, this does not have to be a still shape. So you might choose to move a little bit here, bending one knee and turning the body, bending the other knee and rotating the body. Maybe the fist is the only part of the body that is moving. Maybe it's just the head gently softening. You can bend through the knees as much as you like, moving as much as feels good, or maybe you choose to stay here in stillness. We've probably got one more breath here, depending on how quick you breathe. And when you feel ready, draw yourself back into the center. You're going to lower, if the fist is lifted, you're going to lower both hands back onto your lower back. And as you do that, that means you can soften and release the hands without them pinging apart from one another. Allow the fingertips to come down to find the floor. Maybe a little roll of the shoulders feels good for you here. When you're ready, put a bend in the knees, bring the hands to the hips, take an inhale. And as you exhale, push the floor away, squeeze the glutes as you come up to stand, looking to minimize that head rush. That's why we come up in that way. But if you've found yourself with a bit of head rush, take a nice steady breath here. So we're going to turn the feet in the other direction. We're going to allow the heels to come in and the toes will continue to point out, coming into a kind of goddess type stance. So once you found yourself with the footing, inhale, the arms come up and overhead. And as you exhale, swing right arm underneath left arm. Right arm swings underneath left and you're winding up the hands as much or as little as makes sense for you. So coming into your eagle arms. And from there, it's an inhale, you'll lift the chest, look up. Exhale, you're going to sit the bum down. Draw yourself into that goddess seat. So you've got a little bit of kind of natural movement in this anyway. You kind of become a little bit springy when you found your way down there. And once you found your way down there, maybe you're choosing to stick with that lift and lower breath. The inhale, drawing the elbows up, lifting the gaze. The exhale, tucking and rounding and curling in, keeping the knees bent, pulling the belly back towards the spine. Or maybe you're going to choose to move in a different way, maybe taking the elbows over to one side and rounding through the bottom of the circle before the elbows lift you up and open on the other side. Like a washing machine, you could take it back the other way. Maybe you're moving up one side and back the other. Maybe you're just interested in finding that kind of bounce through the knees, a little bit of a sway. There isn't really Any rules here? As usual, apart from no sharp pain. No sharp pain. Interesting, delicious, stretchy discomfort. We're cool with that. No sharp pain. Draw yourself back through to center. Inhale, you'll push the floor away as you sweep the arms up and overhead. Exhale, you're going to fold the body long over the legs. Doesn't matter if you need to bend the knees or adjust the feet to get there. It doesn't have to be perfect. You're walking your way back around towards the right foot, bringing yourself palms of the hands down onto the floor and stepping the right foot back. Hips are high. You're bringing yourself into your downward facing dog. So we're going to come down to the mat for a little counter pose, and then we'll pop our way back up to where we've just been. You're going to look forward, roll forward, bring yourself to plank. Challenge if you're interested. Inhale here. Exhale, release the body down to the floor in one piece, as slowly and with as much control as you've got. Nice. Untuck the toes. Reach the arms out long. We've been here before. We're coming into that shark fin behind the back of the head. Reach middle fingers away in front as you lengthen through the back of the neck. Release the forehead to the floor. Elbows are bending. Palms of the hands are coming up behind the back of the head. And you might just think here about letting the lower back go. Seeing if you can let the lower back be nice and soft, seeing if you let the legs be nice and soft. There's a small amount of action in the backs of the arms and the armpits, sides of the waist, but everything else you can really let soften. You can really let everything else kind of become as easy and relaxed as possible. And then when you feel ready, stretch the arms out long in front, slide the hands in. This time they're coming in under the shoulders so that you can press the hips back and transition your way into your downward facing dog. One more time, back into downward facing dog. Hips high. Again, just using that as a little counter pose, a little transition before we come back into it on the other side so it doesn't feel like such a tough time on our legs. Whichever leg, this is where it gets a bit complicated, whichever leg you had to step back, you're now going to step forward. So you'll lift that leg high. It doesn't matter if you end up going the other way. You'll exhale, step it up and through. So you're bringing yourself back into the low lunge that you came through at the beginning. You'll walk your way around into your forward fold. You might pause here. Check that you've got yourself set up in roughly the right direction. Maybe it's a bit of a wiggle, a bit of a bend in the knees, a roll of the shoulders. Shaking the head. Put a bend in the knees, pull the belly in, hands to hips. Exhale to push the floor away and rise to stand. Nice. From there, you're turning the heels in. So you're bringing yourself back into your goddess. You're going to wind the arms the other way and find that free movement on the other side. So steady through the feet, toes pointing out. Big inhale, arms up and overhead. Exhale, left arm swings underneath right. Left arm underneath right. Binding at the hands, palms of the hands might meet, you might catch thumbs, or you might be grabbing shoulders. So from there, it's an inhale to lift the chest, maybe the gaze. And it's an exhale to lengthen the tailbone down towards the floor as you sit the bum down. I'll show you this from the side. So lengthen down through the tailbone. You're looking for a long, flat back. You're trying to resist the temptation to do this and fold forwards instead. See if you can keep the body upright, sitting low in the hips. From there, maybe you stick with that linear shape, lifting on your inhale and rounding on your exhale, or maybe you're going to get a little bit more kind of weird and interesting with it, finding that roll through circles or maybe from side to side. Maybe you're including a little kind of a gentle bounce at the knees, a bit of a sway. So hopefully there might be a bit of a shake in the legs, but hopefully you're able to kind of bounce and ease any sort of sudden pressure that is wanting you to stand up. Take a last breath, bring yourself gently back through to neutral. And then from there, on your next inhale, you'll push the floor away, you'll rise, arms sweep overhead. Exhale to let the hand, to bring the body down into a forward fold. Bring the body down into your forward fold. Bend the knees if you need to, adjust the feet if you need to. You're walking your way around towards whichever is your front foot and stepping back into a downward facing dog. Right foot steps back, hips go high. From here, last time through our modified little vinyasa we've been working with, So when you're ready, it's an inhale to roll forwards, pull the belly in, look forwards. Find your way to plank. Inhale and plank, sticking with that challenge, or maybe lowering the knees. You'll bring the body to the floor with as much control as you've got. Once you're down there, stretch out long through the arms. Fingertips reach, crown of the head reaches, back of the neck long as the forehead meets the floor. And then you'll bend up the arms into that little shark fin behind the back of the head. Pausing for a breath there, finding a bit of softness. Before we power ourselves up in the other direction, lengthening out through the fingertips and sliding the hands in. I'm actually going to just spin round, even though it means I have to bend my knees and show you this from the front. So just ignore what's happening with my legs. So you're sliding the hands in until you've got elbows popped up towards the ceiling, fingers, hips supporting you there, finger pads supporting you. So we're going to find a little bit of movement with this, maybe that we've not been into yet. As you inhale, you can rise exactly the same way as we've been working on. And as you exhale, you might draw yourself over towards the right to lower down. You might come back up along the right. And maybe you're exhaling and lowering over towards the left. I'm going to stick with this for a couple more breaths. You can absolutely skip it if it doesn't feel good for you, but you might just be able to get a little bit sort of snaky, interesting movement going on here. So maybe you're looking left and right, maybe you're rolling the body through those sorts of semicircles. And then when you're ready, you'll release the body down for the last time. Don't rush it. If you're finishing something off, finish it off. Bring hands in underneath the shoulders. Find that sweet spot on your transition as you work your way back into your downward facing dog at your own pace. It's your last one. So if you don't want it and you want to take a child's pose instead, you're free to. If you're happy to come up into that downward facing dog and get a bit of a wiggle, a last little bit of movement, you can do. And then when you're ready, there is no hurry, but you'll look forwards and gently lower the knees to the mat. Gently releasing the knees down at your own pace. So you should find yourself back on something that feels a little bit like all fours, similar to where we started. And from here, we're revisiting a movement we spent some time in at the beginning. We're going to walk the hands out slightly in front. And then when you're ready, over towards your right, probably to about 45 degrees. Find that place that makes sense for you to take an inhale, puff up the back body. Exhale, push with the hands, drive the hips back. Length down the left-hand side of the body. Maybe the forehead comes down to find the floor here and the whole body drops into a bit of softness. Or maybe you're keeping things quite active still. Whatever feels like a good fit for you. Pause and feel the breath expanding the back ribs. And then when you're ready, dig the hands into the floor and draw yourself back forwards onto a slightly skew with hands and knees. You'll walk the hands out back in front. You might need to pause there, have a reset, have a wiggle. You know where we're going. We're doing the same thing on the other side. So if you're not ready to move, you can always catch us up. Hands when you're ready, go to the opposite side, which for me is the left. Might not be for you. Inhale there, broaden the back. Exhale to drive back. Press the hips towards the heels, length all the way down the right hand side of the body. Maybe the forehead comes to the floor. Doesn't have to. If it doesn't make sense to put the forehead down, you stay lifted. If you want to be more active here, you can absolutely find a bit more power. And then when you're ready, you're using your next inhale breath to draw yourself up and forwards, bringing yourself back onto all fours, walking the hands back in through center. And then from here, you're going to swing the legs out and around behind you so you can come to sit on your bum. We're making our way down to the floor. We're going to find one sort of restorative shape on our backs before we release the body down into Savasana.
So if there are blankets, jumpers, socks, any bits and pieces that you feel like you need, seize them now so that when you release yourself down, you feel comfortable. But when we do get down there, we're just finding a bit of movement first. There isn't any hurry. I'll absolutely pause and prattle on here for a moment so you can get stuff together if you need to. And then when you're ready, you're releasing yourself down onto your back. No rush. We'll wait for you, or you can catch us up. We're not going anywhere hugely complicated. When you come down onto your back, the soles of the feet are going to be on the floor and the knees will point up towards the ceiling. You'll take the feet a little wider than hip width distance and just allow the knees to fall in towards each other. And that should hopefully have the effect of allowing the lower back, the top of the bum, the back of the hips to go completely soft and relaxed. If that's not the case, you might try walking the feet a little further away from the body, give yourself a bit more space. Hopefully you're looking for softness at the lower back and back of the hips. Once you've found that set up in the lower body, you'll inhale both hands up towards the ceiling. So as if you're holding a box up overhead. And then from there, your right hand will cross underneath your left as you give yourself a big hug. So it's not hugely complicated. You're reaching the hands to find the shoulder blades. And it doesn't have to be that the hands wrap in so much that the sharp edges of the shoulder blades crush the fingertips. But you're looking for that sensation of the hands drawing the shoulder blades apart. Maybe you have a bit of a wiggle to find that. The elbows here can rest on your chest, or they can fall upwards towards your face. So whatever feels like the best fit in your body, it probably depends on the direction your shoulders are most keen to kind of stretch in. Or maybe it's not one or the other, maybe it's somewhere in between. So we'll pause here, spending a little longer in this shape. And there are two things that I think are really lovely about this resting dove pose. The first is that the belly is unobstructed and long, and you're able to breathe slowly, steadily, satisfyingly there. And the second thing that I really love about this shape is that warm, kind of solid sensation of the hands wrapped around the body. Back to the beginning where we talked about that touch on the hands, and the touch as a kind of guide for where the stretch is and where the sensation is. When you feel ready, you'll inhale both hands up towards the ceiling. If it didn't feel ready for you, don't do it yet. Do it whenever you feel like you need to. You know where we're going. The left hand is going to cross underneath the right. So you're giving yourself a hug in the opposite direction. The arms wrapped the other way around. So maybe just taking those wiggles that feel good for you to wrap the arms in, palms of the hands, flattening maybe against the tops of the shoulders or the shoulder blades. Maybe the arms fall towards you, or maybe they rest down towards the body, whatever works for you. Wherever you are, there's space between the shoulder blades. There's softness at the lower back. And there's space at the belly. That solid feeling of sort of drawing yourself in around the upper back. And then when you feel ready, there's no hurry. But you'll inhale and draw both hands up towards the ceiling one last time. As you exhale, you might let the arms float down by your sides, or maybe the hands come to rest on the belly. One hand on the belly, one hand on the chest. Whatever feels like a good place for you to rest the hands in your shavasana. Maybe you're extending out through the legs. Maybe you're choosing to let the legs rest as they are. If you need to grab for a blanket or a jumper here, please do. Please make yourself as comfortable as possible. Find yourself in a place where you can let the body drop. into stillness, into softness, into quiet. And as the body drops into this still, soft, quiet place, maybe you're able to invite the mind to join it, becoming still and heavy and quiet. Letting the softness percolate through the joints, ankles, knees, hips, the elbows, shoulders, the whole spine, the back of the neck, the back of the head, the jaw. Because these long periods of silence don't quite feel the same when we're working at a distance, I've taken to sharing words that have been resonating with me recently. So I want to end with a poem by one of my favourite poets, a poet called Rudy Francisco. And this is how it goes. I want the kind of happiness that you can smell in my clothes, and a smile so big you can still see it when I'm walking in the opposite direction. I want to laugh so loud that my demons pack their belongings and decide to move somewhere a little more quiet. So these days, I try to take the most mundane things, like waking up or doing laundry, and I challenge myself to carve some joy into every single one. Draw your attention back to your breath without feeling the need to move the body at all. Notice the rise of the inhale, the fall of the exhale. And as that breath comes in, it naturally brings with it more energy, prana, or life force. Enough energy maybe to wiggle the fingertips and the toes, to point and flex and stretch the feet, to roll at wrists and ankles. Maybe you like the sensation of rolling the head from one side to the other. You move in ways which feel good in your body, which feel kind. When you feel ready, there might be enough power for a big stretch of the arms up and away, fingertips reaching away from the toes, lengthening the body out. Maybe you want to draw your knees up in towards the body, give yourself a bit of a hug, as much or as little as makes sense for you. From there, roll over onto your favourite side and pause so that you can gently, carefully push yourself up to find a comfortable seat. Taking your time to get there, And when you do get there, you don't have to open your eyes. You might keep your gaze cast down towards the floor. We'll just pause and soak up these last few moments of the practice. You can seal your practice however you like. Maybe you want to bring your hands to heart center, or bow your head to your heart, or anything else that feels like a good gesture of gratitude for you for this moment. Thank you guys so much. Thank you so much for practicing with me. I'll come over there, I'll come a little closer. If I feel far away, and just creep it in. Let me know if you've got thoughts, feedback, love to hear it. As always, you are welcome to unmute yourselves